Hi everyone, this is the solution to number 9 on the Conics review worksheet. I recommend that you pause along the way and do the math to make sure that you are getting the same equations I am. If you're just copying it, of course you know that you're never going to fully understand it. So the question asks you to find the equation of a circle through 3 points. 14, negative 8, 9, 13, and negative 7, negative 13. The key here is to make sure you understand that the general form of a circle is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. So what I did was, you'll see that I have 3 equations written. Equations 1, equation 2, and equation 3. I substituted in for x and y. So x minus h quantity squared, instead of x, I used 14, and then minus h quantity squared. Instead of y, I used negative 8. So I got negative 8 minus k quantity squared equals r squared. And I did that in equation 2 and in equation 3. So instead of x in equation 2, I used 9. Instead of y, I used 13. In the third equation, instead of x, I used negative 7. And instead of y, I used negative 13. And at this point, I multiplied everything out. So at this point, I would recommend that you pause the screen, do all of your multiplication out, and see if you're getting the same answers. When you come back, you should have equations 1, 2, and 3 respectively. You can read, I'm not going to write the whole thing out. So check your equations 1, 2, and 3, and they should match up with mine. Next, you now have a system of 3 equations. 3 unknowns, 3 equations, you're good to go. There are numerous ways that you can use elimination. You'll see off to the side here that I wrote equation 2 minus equation 1, simplified, divided everything by 2, and that is how I got 5h minus 21k equals 5. Then I choose to do equation 3 minus 2. Maybe you want to do 1 minus 3. Maybe you want to do 2 minus 1. Or I already did 2 minus 1. But there are lots of options. I just randomly chose to do equation 3 minus 2. And again, I would pause at this point to make sure that your equations match up. From here, you could have done elimination again. You could have done substitution. I chose Cramer's rule because I happen to really like Cramer's rule. So for the denominator, the first column are the x coefficients, and the second column are the y coefficients. And I got the denominator was, oh, I wrote right over it, sorry. I got that the denominator was 233. Then for the numerator for h, remember we're not doing x and y, we're doing h. The numerator for h, the h coefficients go in the first column, back up. The numerator for h, the answers go in the first column, and the k coefficients go in the second column. Cramer's rule, and I got 233. For the k numerator, the h coefficients go in the first column, and the answers go in the second column, which gives you 0. So for Cramer's rule, the h numerator 233 over the denominator, which is 233, you get 1. The k would be the k numerator, which is 0, over the denominator, which is 233, and you get 0. So from here, what I did was I substituted in for h and k. My h was 1, my k was 0, and that's where I got here. Then I found r. Use whichever point you want to find r. You could have used the first given point, or the second given point, or the third given point. I chose the second given point because everything's positive. You plug in, you get 9 minus 1, which is 8 squared, plus 13 minus 0, which is 13 squared, and you get a total of 233, which leads to the final answer of x minus 1 quantity squared plus y squared equals 233.